for everyone that wants to come back and look at this. So yeah, let's get it started.
Yep. Hell yeah. So best way I like to start, guys, is with an indice. The only indice worth mentioning, US dollar, DXY. No, I'm just playing. But indices are good as indications. Use them. I use this one more as an indicator to see the strength of the dollar. I say this every week, but it's always good to be refreshed. So let's take a look and see what the dollar is doing. So on a higher time frames, this thing is kind of in the way right now. Hold on. There we go. Jeez. All right. So what I like to do is I'll jump up time frames just to see what the overall trend is. So this is clearly a weekly trend. We are in the daily, but this has been going on for so long. So we're in a weekly bullish trend. But now, if we take a look, and what do we see on the daily, right? We're seeing a bit of a transition. We're getting a lot of lower highs repeatedly, and support zones are starting to break. So we had a little break here, lower high formed, and now it's looking like it's going to push lower. What happens in this area, the small range right here, is going to determine for us where we can enter and where this is going to go. So if we see a break lower and then another lower high, chances are this is going to fall out. The dollar is going to fall out and probably come down to this monthly support. Now, if we see a little double bottom here and then followed by strong bullish movement, we're looking for a break of this resistance level here, which is also structure, and then followed by a retest. And then we're just going to target resistance levels higher and higher as we keep seeing these levels break. So that's the dollar. I mean, it has been so strong in the past, but a retest or a retracement on a higher time frame is coming sooner or later. So this may be a plausible trade, right?
Definitely some weakness in there for sure.
Right?
Seeing that huge wick.
Oh, hell yeah. Just these levels are just, So we'll see. This is kind of a waiting game, see what happens in this area. But either way, either direction, guys, we're always going to be prepared because we're just waiting for those confirmations. And they'll show themselves, whether it's a, bullish continuation or a bearish drop. So let's move on from DXY. I'm going to get straight into AU. So same thing. We do this with every chart, right? Zoom out a little bit, get the overall perspective of the trend, see what's going on. It's bearish, no doubt about it. But we do pull back to these deep fib levels, as we can see on the daily trend. It's kind of doing now, right? So we can see from the daily, this has been bullish. We can all agree on that. Since October, this is a bullish trend. So let's zoom in on here and figure out if this bullish trend is going to keep staying bullish, or we're going to get that overall time frame continuation from a key fib level, right? So right now it's actually looking super strong on the daily. A nice pullback to this 38.2 and this support zone. It hasn't tested a support yet, but it would be really nice to see. It would be good market structure. We get a nice higher low in here, and then we could target the top of this range, which is on the daily a negative 27%, and on the weekly 88.6. So that's that's for the bearish trend that this would be retracing to.
Yep.
So it's very likely that we're going to see this range filled. Super excited for this to play out. I love these trades. When it breaks into a new range, you could always get it on a new fib level and, just ride the momentum. So this is looking good. We'll be covering this if, those trades do play out. That's AU. AJ is looking pretty similar. Same thing. Just going to zoom out. I'm expecting it to be bearish because, again, it's similar to AU. Very bearish, as we could see. But again, you get these big pullbacks to, structure levels where support was broken, turn resistance here. And, we're seeing that over here too. So this monthly level was broken. And now on the daily, we got this little daily trend, and it's looking like it's going to touch that monthly level, as well as the 61.8. So this is a confluence level for a potential reversal, right? But we have to see this level tested first. So again, this is extended. There is a fib level in here. If you were to fib this, on a lower time frame, we're just looking for a retracement at this broken resistance level, tested as support. 38.2 is right there. The 50% is right there. MAs are coming up pretty heavy, and they're pointing up. So there's a lot of confluence in this area. Again, a nice retest, a nice higher low would be a perfect entry. Just like AU, we're going to target up to this resistance level where there also is a lot of confluence. And then we'll play it from there. Because once we start seeing the trend starting to turn, or we start getting, lower highs up after this level has been hit, then we'll start considering short opportunities as support levels and, the trend is reversing. But until then, we're riding the daily trend, looking for that retest, fib level, target higher. So that's AJ.
Getting squeezed.
Yeah, it is getting squeezed. You're like, actually, yeah, it's a good point. It's a lot of consolidation, like you can just see this volume is getting more narrow and narrow as this pattern develops. So it starts off real high, and then we're getting consolidation, lower swings, each direction, like less of a range, swings, and then it's eventually going to get squeezed, and then we'll get an impulse move. So onto Euro USD. Again, these all just happen to be looking bearish, but it's consistent throughout, right? There's a huge bearish trend. It pulls back pretty strongly too. Deep fib levels. So let's see what's going on here. This is actually a really crucial area. It was a major support level, turn resistance. We tested multiple times, but we are getting these higher lows, right? And this trend line is looking to break. We have a surge of bullish volume. It's convincing enough to take a look at, but not convincing enough to take a trade based on. We want more of a break, right? We want more significance coming up to here, followed by a retracement to a fib level based on this push, and then a higher low, more confluence, daily support, and then we can target towards our next resistance level, which is up here, right? You can see this is a key resistance level, and that's how we do it. We're looking for a break retest, target the next significant level, and so on and so on. So here is the range. It's around 190, 200 pips, this range here. So this could be a really great trade if this trend does persist. If we do get a lot of rejection from here, we're looking to get back below this, back into this channel. We want to break this higher low, and then we can start looking for short positions. We just want to see those transitions.
Yeah, because we're just looking at, a lot of selling orders were placed there previously in this current location. So, yeah, I agree. We got to just wait and see some more confirmation on this.
Absolutely. So, yeah, exactly. And but good thing is if the dollar, as we're analyzing this, we can see this is Euro USD. So in my mind, I'm thinking DXY, what's DXY doing, right? If DXY decides to push down really strongly, we'll see a rise out of the euro in comparison. And the opposite is true as well. If we see the US dollar push up, it finds support at that key level that we mark, we'll see euro push back down, right?
Yeah.
So this is another way that you can, kind of use that as an indicator. Maybe another confirmation or just, insight for sentiment at the very least. So let's move on to EJ. Looking very similar, very bearish, but it is forming these structure levels pretty well. Like it'll form these new ranges where it'll break support and then it'll hold very well. Three times it tested resistance, broke support again, 3 times tested resistance and, broke again. But now we have this transition happening, this daily trend right here. You're getting these higher lows printed after each other. And it's a pretty steep trend. So, but again, it's forming these ranges. It'll break resistance, then test the support a couple times, break resistance, test the support a couple times. So here's the next area we're targeting. We're looking for this area to break, test its support, and then we'll target the next range, this is a huge range up here. If the euro does decide to push up, we're looking for that. I think it's going to consolidate in here a little bit where we'll see a flag pattern or some sort of consolidation in here before ultimately the push. So we'll see something like this, a little bit of consolidation and then a big push higher. That's what I think is going to happen in here if we do see that volume coming out of the euro. So again, just significant break, retest, play the range, this monthly resistance level. This could be a really big ass trade, to be honest. 300 something pips. But, if it doesn't make this break, if it doesn't push higher and, the bearish trend, overall bearish trend does decide to continue, we're just looking for lower highs and then transitions, breaks of support, breaks of higher lows, right? Like this. We want to see a break below here, retest, drop. So either way, we're ready. But right now it's looking very bullish on this daily time frame. And I know it was 5. I could cover gold real quick.
You can do gold.
Might as well. I was actually going over this yesterday. All right, so very bullish, guys. Very bullish all the way back since September. We have this big push up. We have this daily flag here, and then we actually had we actually had a break. Why is this thing in the way again? We had a break of this flag, and now it looks to be targeting the 1600 area, which is our next major resistance level. And the monthly, it's the monthly resistance zone, this whole red zone here. So I'm going to drop to a 4-hour because this one's a little more in depth. So we have this push up, right? No structure is yet to be formed. We're simply looking for price to pull back. It's going to retrace a little bit to the 38.2 or this little confluence pocket over here where the 618 is, which is the trend line. We'll probably get some bullish setups in here, and then we're just looking for an MA cross and, you know, significance to then target higher. So again, we're just looking for pullback, either of these fib levels, and then, you know, higher lows and good bullish setups. But I am definitely long on gold. It's looking really nice.
On gold. Yeah, and again, when we're overextended like this, or we're just at the top of a new high that's forming, all we're lining up are these new entry zones that have the multiple confirmations that we're looking for, where potentially we can re-enter again. So gold, I mean, we're not necessarily going to enter all the way up here, but based on how we get those transitions to and some candlestick analysis to form within the next, you know, day or so, that's when we're going to start to make some decisions. So right now we're just overall, you know, gold obviously very bullish right now.
Yep. And now we're just waiting for opportunities. You know, that's really it. We have a couple questions. That was going on here.
Yeah, we're gonna go over GBP USD and then fundamentals. Yeah, so the fundamentals are being posted now in Discord. We're gonna go over that at the end of all this.
Yep. All right. So I will stop sharing. You get into yours. Wait 1 second.
Yeah, I'm gonna share my screen and we'll go over. Let me know if y'all see my screen.
What's that?
I said, let me know if you guys see my screen. All right, cool. So we're going to cover some of the other major pairs that Nick didn't cover. I'll start with USD JPY. So let's just start all the way up here on the monthly, do a little bit of a top-down analysis. So all the way up on the monthly time frame right now on USD JPY, last week, you know, we finished a lot of bullish momentum, or not last week, last month, a lot of bullish momentum into the between the moving averages. And then now we're getting, again, a lot of rejection of this weekly level that I have marked. So let's head down here. You know, let's go to this weekly. Again, the weekly, we're really forming our first lower high in this area, but we are getting some sort of right here rejection, you know, break of resistance turned into support. And then we have right here again, you know, formation of support. We have resistance that was broken previously right here. So we're getting, you know, enough bullish momentum to turn us into buyers potentially. But let's take this down to the daily and see, you know, we're not going to just take trends based on we're in a bearish area. Hold on 1 second. We're in a bearish confirmation area. We're more going to wait for the transitions to actually take place.
Do it.
So we're just going to wait for transitions to take place. So we're on the daily right now. You know, look at daily structure. We got higher highs, we got higher lows, higher high, higher low. Right here, we're just retesting this previous higher high. We're up above the moving averages. So at this point right now, structure is telling us that things are very bullish at the moment. You know, coming down to this 4 hour, if we can fib this little trend we have right here, you know, we're seeing the formation of a rectangle, even so, up in this area above this, you know, push upwards in this trend. And really what I'm going to look for is I'm going to look for bounce above this level of resistance up here and retargeting it, or I'm going to wait for a break below this level of 4 hour support before actually deciding to short this market based on the higher time frame bearish confirmation area that we're currently at. So a few different scenarios, obviously, that we got going on, you know, on USD JPY. Overall, we are going to keep in mind that we have this bearish trend line and the 200-day, and we're forming that weekly lower high. But until this bullish trend breaks any sort of, on this 4 hour time frame, transitions in any way, we're going to maintain a buyer sentiment for now. That's USD JPY.
Can you clear those annotations?
What this?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think that's somebody who, it's in Zoom itself, I believe.
So we got USD CHF. Yes, so here we got USD CHF in this one. So let's go over this. Take this off.
What a setup that would be.
Let's start up here on the monthly. So on the monthly, you know, price has fallen pretty significantly this month after forming this small little bullish engulfing right here. So hold on. So right now we're retesting a monthly level of support right now. If we pop down to the weekly, again, let's pop down to the weekly and take a look at what is going on. So the weekly, we've fallen, you know, consecutive weeks, and we're now at a weekly support area along with this weekly previous low that's going on down here. And if we pump down time frames, it's also like a demand zone that we are currently in. So this market is just very overextended right now. Very similar to some of the ones that Nick was going over. So we're gonna wait to get some sort of direction. Two scenarios that I was playing out on this pair would be if we get some sort of consolidation, as we see we're opening with some bullish momentum right now. We're gapping up. If we can get some sort of consolidation, like a flag or rectangle or pennant, um, as we continue this 4-hour trend, I would definitely, you know, try to short this market upon confirming that pattern and then continue to maintain this below this weekly level of right now support, but it would turn to resistance. Or if we're, you know, retesting this bottom right now, this weekly bottom right now, until we really broke above these levels of the 4-hour, you know, if we at this like point in time came up and were to break these levels, that would be a real clear transition of the market. So right now we're just going to see how price, you know, manages to maintain itself below this previous low, and we're definitely going to look for potentially some short opportunities with USD CHF. So let's go on to GBP USD. So we'll start up here on the weekly. You know, all these GBP pairs are going to be pretty interesting because we got these weekly bearish engulfings going on. And again, we're like in these areas of confluence on the higher time frames. Like on the monthly, we've got like a huge wick going on right here down to the weekly. You know, what is that wick? That's just this bearish engulfing right there. And then down to the daily, I mean, we really see that no levels of structure have been broken yet on this. So right now, we're just forming this first higher low in this area right here on this daily time frame. And we respected this previous high pretty well right here. So right now, we're just going to look if we bump down to the 4-hour to just continue, you know, this bullish trend in this way that it's forming right now. And again, we are going to still keep in mind on this weekly, you know, this bearish engulfing, but just until we get some more actual breaks of structure and transitions in this area, which could potentially come from right here if we end up popping below, you know, these two red entry zones we have marked. So we're just going to wait and see how price consolidates and retraces from this high right now. If we do get some confirmation, we'll look to continue the long. But if we do get some sellers, you know, selling pressure come in to break some levels of support, then we will look to short this market. So this early next week, we're going to see what is going on with this. And let's take a look at some more GBP pairs. We've got this one that is very similar to the previous, you know, GBP USD. But let's take a look up at the weekly. Again, weekly bearish engulfing, but still above these moving averages right now. Down to the daily, same thing. You know, this is forming that first higher low from this previous higher low on this daily time frame. And now down to the 4-hour, you know, let's think about this is 4-hour, we actually broke, you know, this higher low right here. We broke below there, but then as the market formed this first lower high area right here, we actually, buyers came in and broke that. So again, for now, we're looking to very similar GBP USD. We are looking to continue to make buys on this. Get some more direction. One second.
There's two more.
Get wisdom muted. So yeah, until we can potentially break, you know, some levels of support here, we're just looking for buys. We're looking to maintain this 4-hour trend that's going on right here, and even on the 1-hour, you know, we're looking pretty strong right now with the current trend that's going on. But last week I had drawn this. We were all the way up at these highs. I had drawn this swing lower, which just retested this 200-day. And then now, I mean, we're coming back to retest this monthly level of resistance. So this area, there's going to be quite a few opportunities we're going to update this in the premium analysis. And as things play themselves out, when we don't see things as clearly as we'd like, we're just going to wait for some breaks of structure in order to confirm the overall direction. But right now I'm feeling pretty good about GBP pairs. Let's move on to another one, GBP CAD, that I looked at. And then we could potentially take a look at, I think you did, AJ. Did you, Nick?
Yeah, I did, AJ.
Yeah. All right. So Salim, yeah, this is recorded, so you can just check back at AUD JPY. So let's take a look at GBP CAD. Very similar to these other pairs. We're getting a lot of rejection right now, a lot of sellers exhaustion. So I'm just going down to the weekly again. Weekly, we're getting a bearish engulfing, but what does that actually mean for us? Down to the daily, until we break this red level of structure on the daily, we're still in a bullish trend. Down to the 4-hour right here. So until we broke these levels, so I'll just use my random line. So these are just some higher lows that were within this bullish trend to the left. So as you can see, we broke some subsequent higher lows here. And again, very similar to these other GBP pairs, we're popping out. This one actually shows that we're really looking to firm our first lower high in this instance right now. And we're retesting this resistance level. So again, we're just going to wait and see if price maintains this bullish momentum, then it will break through this high again. But if not, it will most likely consolidate within this range and then fail, and it will transition for us to continue this lower time frame trend that is potentially going on right now, this lower time frame transition. So those are 3 GBP pairs and 2 other of the major pairs that I went over, and then we could go into the fundamental analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do fundamentals, then we'll pull up an economic calendar after the fact too. Just take a look at it.
Never
mind. Yeah, you're good.
We could read through this right now. So we're going to start posting this economic calendar and some fundamentals every week at the beginning of the week. This is just going to be some high impact news that's going on. So Monday we got some USD news. We could expect a jump in this. So this could potentially be positive for the USD. But overall, like you went over in DXY, USD has been pretty weak. So we'll see.
This may not play too big. Might not be too big of an event where you'll really see a surge of price action. But we'll see. It all depends on how speculative it is.
Yeah, so just be aware. Monday, USD news. Tuesday, we've got USD consumer confidence. So we're going to see some sort of score around consumer confidence.
More positive news.
This potentially could have some at least give us some volume, because Tuesday and Wednesday is going to be pretty low.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty low in volume because obviously the end of the year and the holiday and whatnot. So at least for Tuesday, we're going to have some sort of kick in with that if you guys are maintaining some USD trades. Wednesday, holiday, so nothing's going to be coming out. And then second half of the week, we got some Euro news, we got some GBP news, USD news. So Thursday, things are going to get interesting in regards to at least things that are going to be dropping. Who knows how much volume these in particular will bring in. And then Friday, we're going to end off with Euro, GBP, and USD news. So we just went over, 3 GBP pairs and most of the USD pairs. So if you're trading these pairs, just be aware when these are dropping. And again, like you said, always look at an economic calendar, have one every week, at least, that you can go to and you can look at potentially, so you know what's going on for the week. And yeah, so as you can see this week, not much going on as in high impact news, but always just have this ready and be aware, especially if you're in trades, just be mindful of that. So let's go through. We've got
it's a good read. It's definitely worth your time reading through it, just getting familiar even in the slightest of what's going on for that week. Just think of it as like, current events. Like you want to stay on top of what you're trading and what potential dangers there could be in the market. That's where this will come in handy the most for you when you're reading through.
Yeah. So I'll read through. I'm going to read through like the first paragraph.
Yeah, go for it.
The Canadian dollar is a commodity linked to currency. Prices dictated mostly by the price of the oil, because oil is Canada's main export, and that brings most of the money into their economy. The reason why the Canadian dollar was falling throughout 2019 was because there was not much demand for the oil since there was trade conflict. So, Canadian dollar this past year definitely depreciated in volume, connected to oil, one of its main, I guess, imports into the economy. So, just get an idea of what has been the biggest impact over the rest of the year. We can read through the rest of that. So that's going to be for Canadian.
So that's a huge one. Yeah, that's a big one there too. The United States dollar fell due to the fact that the Federal Reserve lowered their interest rate 3 times in a row just to protect their economy from global slowdown. So I don't know if you guys have been following the Fed at all, but they've been announcing cuts over the last year, and it's been very speculative for the dollar. So this has actually been a pretty news-filled year if you just think about it in terms of the dollar being the most traded currency and the speculative volume that comes into play after these events take place. So it's been a very event-filled year.
Yeah, definitely. There's been a lot. So let's take a look at now AUD and NZD. So both currencies started the year very weak due to the fact that U.S. and China had a trade conflict, which shook the markets and made investors very nervous. So they started investing more in safe haven currencies. So obviously, that is an interesting perspective.
Right. That leads to the rise of gold. That's why we've been seeing gold go up so much. That's a safe haven currency. Even though it is a commodity, it's still considered a safe haven. The yen and the US dollar are both considered safe havens, but if there's uncertainty in those currencies, then the money will move, or a lot of people will move their money into other safe havens. So that's why we've been seeing gold appreciating so much. If some of you have been keeping up with that, and if you guys do a lot of fundamental research, you would have come across that. And we've seen gold go from practically $1,200 to $1,600 in the last year, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, we've mentioned this consistently, though. What's said in this next paragraph is the reason why the Aussie dollar has been falling, especially in the beginning of 2019, is China is Australia's biggest trade partner. So a lot of the times when there was this more weighted and impact news in regards to the trade war with China and the U.S., whenever there was positive news for China, Australia would be benefiting from this. So the sentiment for Australia would be bullish based on that, and vice versa. So that's just, like you said, a lot of news around the trade and the tariffs and everything this past year. That has impacted things significantly overall.
Mm-hmm. That's also why they reacted in lowering their interest rates because of all this uncertainty. So we had the global economic slowdown plus the trade wars. So now all these economies, the Federal Reserve, they're adjusting rates to try and, prepare for even more of a slowdown or to keep the economy growing. The Australian economy is the same way. They lowered rates and everyone's just trying to, I guess, balance all the uncertainty in the market now. So it's very interesting to see. This will definitely help you interpret any news questions you have or, on a weekly basis, at least what's going on. So it's a big tool. If you just read through this, you'll learn a lot too. And Angela, what do you think about this? This is one of our newest additions to Discord. So I think everyone's liking it so far.
We got some GBP obviously surrounding Brexit. We're talking about that. This Boris Johnson being reelected was huge, as we saw GBP surge when that was really announced. And really, everything to do with this last year, we just had to do with Brexit, potentially with the deal being on the table. So right now, we're just seeing a lot of trade wars just going on, and we're seeing how that has potentially affected price over and over and over again. And those have really outweighed everything else. So yeah, these are going to be good to read through. These are recaps really for the year, but each week we're going to post the economic calendar, and then we'll post what our fundamental sentiment is overall for that week. And these things, you could start by reading through the fundamental analysis before you even do your technical analysis, just so when you get on the technical analysis, maybe as you're looking at confirmations and they line up with fundamentals, you can just, have more confidence in making some sort of decision around your sentiment and whatnot. So these is definitely going to be effective for everybody, including us, because this is what we go through, and it's good to have as many resources as you really can. So that is going to be it for the Sunday Market Blitz today. We just wanted to go over a little bit to do with this fundamentals that are going to be posted. Obviously, everything is recorded, and And yeah,
So
great.
just want to thank you guys for stopping by on a Sunday, spending a half hour with us, running through 10 plus pairs, and showing you guys this, this news, I guess, news release information
Yeah,
that
I mean,
we're now
we're just
providing.
ready to get on with this week, but we know that this week the volume is going to be all over the place. So, we're going to look for trades that are there, but we're not going to exactly force anything with that in mind.
Right.
It's just
Exactly.
analysis, and let's keep up on it. And for those that are going to be in, signals and analysis, premium analysis, everything will be updated for you guys. So we got that to look forward to. And those that are not, just keep up with our free offerings. We got YouTube potentially coming out this week with a lot of beginner material on there, tips and tricks. Instagram, obviously keep up with everything on there. And yeah, we appreciate all y'all's support.
Yep.
Hope you guys, have a good rest of your Sunday.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Good week ahead.
Peace.
Peace.